Hi, Stacey. Good morning.
Good morning.
How
Good
are
to
you
be
doing?
here. I'm great. I'm great. Thank you.
Awesome. Can you please tell a bit about yourself? Your name, what you do?
Would love to. So my name's Stacey Harmon. I'm principal of Harmon Enterprises, and my business helps people solve their productivity problems using Evernote as their core technology. So I service a lot of small businesses and independent solopreneurs who are really looking to better use a very underutilized tool, which
Okay.
is Evernote. So
Awesome.
I'm an Evernote certified consultant, and my business is centered completely around helping people use Evernote. So sometimes they have me on as do webinars and things of that nature. And I am, of course, aware of all of the many integrations that Evernote has with third-party tools. And so your tool came across my radar, and I'm a big GTDer. So I was very interested in any tool. I mean, I'm immediately a fan of any tool that will integrate with Evernote. So you guys jumped right to the top of my Pomodoro list.
Right. And speaking of Pomodoro, can you tell me when you started using it and what does it give to you?
It was a transition between being an employee and being self-employed. And it was a rocky transition for me. I was struggling.
Yeah.
And I'm really a very organized person by nature, and I really gravitate towards structure. But I had really lost all of that when I went to work for myself. And it was a transition, and I didn't realize how important that was to me. And I had a friend who was very successful and very much in alignment with the stress I was feeling. And he said, Stacey, he says, stop what you're doing, go read this book. And it was David Allen's Getting Things Done. He said, and while you're doing that, you also want to read this PDF. He said, because this is the fourth and final step of my productivity practice. And he used the Pomodoro technique to time block. And it really was probably my very first introduction to the idea of time blocking as a legitimate concept. I think I naturally did it when I had structure of a work environment. You work between meetings and you focus, and I didn't ever have that challenge, but I didn't understand that this was a concept, like a proven thing. And I read that, it was an 18-page PDF, something along those lines. And I thought, oh, this is great. So I started time blocking, and that's how I was very first introduced to it. And then I brought a GTD practice into it. So I really intertwined the two. I use it more for focus.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to exact tracking of like matching activities to time. And I most often use it during my weekly review to focus in chunks during my weekly review. So I use it in a couple of places there. Number one, I have a product called Evernote, which is teaches people how to use Evernote for GTD. And so we have guided weekly reviews as part of that. And I use the Pomodoro and the PomoDone app to keep track of that and have us collaborate, group co-work on in time blocks. Because I actually have found that like this social element of all focusing together amplifies the focus that you can do in that 25-minute period.
Right. So you do it like on the video call or something?
Yeah, just like this.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
we all get together and have I call it a Evernote guided weekly review, and it's one of the membership perks of just being part of my community. So we all, you're probably very familiar with the fact that most people agree that the weekly review is a good idea, but very few people actually do it.
Oh, yeah.
So I use the PomoDone app to time track and keep us focused and keep us on pace, and that's really the benefit that the Pomodoro technique offers, is that focus. I also use it. So I use the PomoDone app, like obviously in the weekly review, but I will just use it whenever I'm doing a focused chunk of work. So there's actually a company that I have found called Ultra Working, and they do facilitated co-working around a Pomodoro technique. And they have this, they call it work cycles, and you work in these Pomodoro chunks. And they've kind of taught me a system that I can't always do with them, but I will do it on my own, and I'll use the PomoDone app to facilitate that. So instead of using it for a specific use case, I just use it to get through project work and maintain my focus and not get distracted or off track for longer than 25 minutes.
I see. So the break is important as well. And
yeah, the break is important as well. I mean, it's what I've learned is it's really, really easy to get off track while you're working, right? So if you can lose focus, maybe you're not mentally there today, or maybe you've got somebody that comes to the door, especially if you work at home, or you have a child or a spouse or something along those lines. But if you're working in these Pomodoros, which is, you know, they say this in the book, right? Anything can wait 25 minutes. Anything can wait.
oh, yeah.
So when you really embrace that and you start to apply that to, like, I work on my own from my house. So that comes with its own whole set of challenges, mainly that I get myself distracted by Facebook or my text message or something along those lines. And even working with the ticking of the PomoDone app, right? Even knowing that that's I've now learned that that's my cue to laser focus for a period of time. And so I will work on anything, not necessarily something specific, but I'll use that structure to make progress in what I'm doing. You wouldn't be surprised at all that it's Evernote. You know, I love the fact, in fact, I love it so much. Look at you. I put it in my guide. So I have my little guide, and you guys are in my guide as my preferred app. So I just wanted to point that out to you, because I am, like I said, the fact that it integrates with Evernote, for those that want to actually track the accomplishments from each of those time frames, that's really good. Even though that's not the way I personally use it, I think that that's a great asset. So what I love about your app are the settings. So I love that I can configure. I use them in different configurations a lot. I like turning, sometimes I want the sound on or off in terms of the ticks. Sometimes I want it to loop. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I want a longer Pomodoro session or a shorter Pomodoro session. So the flexibility of the settings are my favorite feature. In addition, I mean, beyond the fact that it integrates with Evernote. Come on.
All right. And as far as I understand, you don't use any other integration but Evernote, right?
Evernote's my primary tool. That's correct. Yeah. So Evernote's my dashboard, my digital dashboard, and I use it for my entire GTD deployment. So it's my digital desk. And so it's where I have files in Google Drive, but they're referenced back in Evernote, for example. Awesome. So like all my task management, all my project management, all my reference, all my storage, all of that, and all my thoughts, everything gets off my mind into Evernote, which is my trusted system.
Great. Last question, if you don't mind. What is your hack or hint in terms of using the Pomodoro technique and PomoDone app, or both?
So, well, with the PomoDone app, I think that it hints at the settings, which is 25 minutes does not have to be your Pomodoro. So if you want to have a 30-minute Pomodoro or a 45-minute Pomodoro or a 20-minute Pomodoro, maybe your schedule doesn't allow for a full 25 minutes. Any focus, I think, is better than none, any focus time. So use the app to modify those settings and modify the break settings. Do you want a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break? Consistency, and test that, and then find some consistency that works for you. So that's what I would suggest with the PomoDone app. In terms of Pomodoro technique, one of the greatest things that I've learned is before you begin a Pomodoro, the very first one, and when you complete your Pomodoro, before you take your break, defining what you're going to do in written form very specifically during those 25 minutes will improve your focus. And clarifying that or doing that for the next Pomodoro before you take your break will minimize task switching and time lost during task switching, so that you can sit back down after you stretch or after you get some water, and you can get right back into what it is that you want to work on during that segment.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, it was a great pleasure meeting you, and thanks a lot for getting our questions and getting the answers for it.
Well, thanks for having such a fun tool. I do rely, it's a really important part of my system. So I'm grateful that you guys have it. So thank you for having me on.